Dixon, coming to you with another edition of This Day in African American Baseball History. Of course, today we're looking at the November 27th, 2025 edition of This Day in African American Baseball History. And guys, if you're a baseball fan, this is the place you want to be because we learn a lot here and we have a good time talking about baseball. Well, let's see. I do want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. If you're in America, you know what Thanksgiving is all about. Of course, you know, we grew up reading the stories about Thanksgiving, the pilgrims, and that whole story. And, you know, one of the reasons why I'm doing this baseball is because, well, we always read about the pilgrim story and their side of the Thanksgiving story, but we never really knew about the Native American side of the Thanksgiving story. And so it was in baseball. We always knew about the American National League story for the most part, but we did not know much about the African American story in baseball. So that's the reason why I'm out here, and that's the reason I've stayed out here and continue to lift these men up and talk about the achievements that they had in baseball. And I hope that you've been enjoying this, and I certainly want to continue to keep it going. It's hard work to get in here every day, man. It's just amazing with all the things you have. Matter of fact, I got a book I'm trying to finish now. I need to get on the editing, and so I'll be doing that. So some of my broadcasts, I'm going to keep coming with these broadcasts, but they're going to be a little different, and I can never guarantee what time of day I'm going to come on. That's been the challenge. So got a person here, John Neal. Listen, Jurison says, Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Hey, if you join me, put in where you're following me from, so I kind of have an idea of what kind of reach I'm getting with this broadcast. So once again, if you've never joined me before, my talks, I will give you a historical fact that happened on this day, related to something connected to an African-American baseball player. Oh, Philadelphia. I plan on being there next year for the All-Star game. As a matter of fact, the book that I'm trying to edit is one on the 1905 Philadelphia Giants. It's a revision of a book I had released earlier, but the revision is massive, going from 200 pages to 400 pages. So anyway, yeah, somebody's joining from Oklahoma. All right, I appreciate that too. Okay, and that is look like at JEC just Coley 11. Thank you guys. And so if you never joined me before, what I do is I give a historic fact, and it has something related to an African American baseball player that occurred on this date throughout history. So that's kind of what I do now. And then because I've been researching for 45 years, what I do is give you a historical commentary on something maybe I've experienced, something I've read, something I've written related to that player. And I've toured extensively for 45 years, so you'd be surprised where I've been over the years. Yes, I have been to Oklahoma many times, and been to Philadelphia as well, presented there, and looking forward to going back this year for the Major League All-Star game. And then I see plant-based black man here, peace and blessings. Hey, where do you come from? Let me know, all right? So let me jump in here and give you some things. And I do want to say these talks are not lectures, okay? This history is the history that America hoped would be washed away and left out of the history books forever. But we've changed that. And so for 45 years, I've made significant contributions and led the path forward, and will continue that journey for as long as I'm able. All right. So let's go. Okay. All right. So we got a few people joining today. If you like what I'm doing here, you listen for a while, go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to push it to 400 subscribers by the end of the month. And so I only have, 3 days? That's going to be quite the challenge. All right. So we're going to jump right here. So let's go with the first one. November 27, 1904, in a game played against a contingent of players calling themselves the Brooklyn Royal Giants, who took the field at New York's Laughlin Oval against the All-Americans, that was a white team. After 6 innings, with the Giants leading 4-3, the Royal Giants players could not continue the game, and couldn't be induced to finish the game, which was attended by 500 screaming and shivering fans. And so, since they refused to play any further, the game was awarded to the All-Americans. So it's kind of risky to play a game of baseball in New York on Thanksgiving, but hey, some people would try it. And then some of the members of the contingent of players for the Brooklyn Royal Giants, Satterfield was one of them. A guy named Winky James. I forget what Best was a pitcher. Forget what his first name was, and another guy named Hawk who was a catcher. So they really did have some professional players on the African American side playing in that game. I couldn't find many of the All Americans who were playing for that, and those are the white players. But man, playing a baseball game in New York on Thanksgiving Day didn't work out too good. But they had 500 people who wanted to see baseball. That's the most important thing. All right. Okay, so let's go to another. November 27, 1936. Joe Lillard, former Chicago American Giants infielder, rushed for a TD touchdown and kicked kicked 3 extra points. Is the New York Brown Bombers football team scored a 41-0 win versus the Washington All-Stars at DC's, that's Washington, D.C.'s Griffith Stadium. And Griffith Stadium was home to the American League Washington Senators right there on Georgia Boulevard. So anyway, that's interesting. Most people have never knew that they had these black professional football teams. In a case like Joe Lillard, he played professional baseball. He played professional football. He also played in the NFL too. And for Chicago Cardinals. How about that team? Chicago Cardinals. Never heard of those, right? But they definitely were an NFL team. And so he played for them, and he played professional basketball as well. So he was a multi-sport athlete, and I like giving him recognition, Joe Lillard. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Joe Lillard. Do you know where he was raised up, where he grew up? Sometimes people, because of the Great Migration, African Americans, they would start off in the South. It could be Texas, could be Mississippi, Louisiana, whatever, and they would end up in the North. So they end up growing up in the North, even though they were born in the South. And that's the case with Joe Lillard. And just in case you didn't know that, he came into his manhood in Mason City, Iowa. All right. So that's Joe Lillard. Look him up. You'll find some interesting things. We got a few people joining. I guess a lot of people off today. That's really good. Cincinnati, Ohio. What do you know about the Ethiopian Clowns? I know a lot about them. I interviewed players who played with them. And also, I will say this is going out to a plant-based black man, Charlie Grant, a baseball player who played around the turn of the century. And John McGraw tried to sneak him into the American League when McGraw was in the American League. It's Charlie Tokuhama. He died there in Cincinnati, and that's where he was from. So you might want to look him up. So we got some other people saying Happy Thanksgiving. Just let me know where you're from. I'm gonna mix this in here. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk about these events. Okay. So let's go to another one. November 27th, 1951. Eugene Collins, former Kansas City Monarch and minor league pitcher, suffered a left shoulder separation and an adhesion in an automobile accident in Puerto Rico. A driver Collins hired fell asleep and crashed the car. And so is a left-handed pitcher. Now Collins was tremendous. He threw hard, and Buck O'Neil had him at the Kansas City Monarchs. He ended up going to the minor leagues, and he had a promising career until this injury. So, also he hit well. Now, interesting thing about Collins, he grew up in Kansas City, Kansas, which is my hometown, and then of course his parents got a divorce, and then he lived in Kansas City, Missouri. But I knew his father very well. His father's name was Doniphan Collins, and Doniphan Collins was a great regional baseball player. I know he played for the Santa Fe Railroad team. And in 1935, he participated in the the tournament at Wichita, the National Baseball Congress tournament is what it was in Wichita, Kansas, with Thatcher's Mortuary. And Thatcher's Mortuary is still here in Kansas City, Kansas. So I'm going to funerals there. So, but Donifay, I went to his father's funeral, and it was down in what we call Rattlebone Hollow. And that's the area that we grew up in, the Black District, close to the Missouri River there in Kansas City, Kansas. They tagged our area as Rattlebone Hollow. And he went to Bethel Baptist Church, the old Bethel Baptist. They rebuilt it now, but yeah, I went to his funeral there, and that was Donifay Collins, and that was Gene Collins' father. So, and I did also talk to Gene too, and Gene passed away in Detroit. Interesting thing, in 2020, when the COVID broke out, one of the first people to pass away in Michigan was Eugene Collins' son. And if you could look this up, he was a police officer, and his name was Donifay Collins after his grandfather, or Eugene's father. So a little history there that I can give you. Now, keep in mind, you won't find this stuff. You can Google all day long on AI and ask about Gene Collins. None of this stuff will come up. But this, hey, so some people say, hey, man, they said Dixon's better than AI. I don't know if I'm better than AI, but I can give you some life experiences that I've had as a researcher for over 45 years. So, okay, so that's Gene Collins. Let's go to another one. How about, let's see. Okay, I'll mention this one. This one's kind of interesting too, and I made some notes on this one. November 27, 1956. Charles Peete, that's P-E-E-T-E, a former Army veteran and member of the 1950 Indianapolis Clowns and the 1956 St. Louis Cardinals, died in an airplane crash I guess it was near the Caracas airport in Venezuela, and en route to a Winter League baseball game. His wife Nettie and 3 children were on board the plane, and they all died in the crash. Okay. Now in 1956, Pete was having a great year playing for Omaha, Nebraska, in the American Association. Anyway, long story short, the Cardinals called him up when he was batting .350, and he played 28 games in the National League, and that was the full extent of his National League career. And then that winter, he died in a plane crash. So a lot of people don't know who he was, but I am happy to give you this information so you can follow it. But look him up, Charles Peete. Some references will say Charlie Peete. He was originally from Virginia, and great baseball player. He was going to be one of the African-American baseball players who were going to break the color barrier way back, all right? And so that's Charlie Peete. Just want to let you know about this one. I'll give you another one here, and people are still joining. Appreciate that. It is November 27th, 1979. Isaac Sepp Lane, he went by I.S. Lane, passed away in Eximia, Ohio. Now, anyone who knows what Eximia is, that is the location of where Wilberforce College is, Wilberforce University, which is a historically black college and university, HBCU, and is part of the African American Episcopal Church, and of which I'm a member. So you will hear me talk about a number of people related to some of the actually African American Episcopal schools, which include places like Morehouse as well, Payne College, of course, certainly Wilberforce University. So where did I leave off? He was a manager of the Wilberforce University baseball team in 1929, and he got Cumberland Posey of the Grays to add the college on the Grays spring training schedule that year, and Posey's Grays won the game 6-3. And in that game, John Terry of Wilberforce, who would go on to perform with the ABCs of Indianapolis, the Homestead Grays, the Cincinnati Tigers, hit a home run in the game against the Grays. And of course, they're looking at him as a prospect for the future. All right. And then, of course, the great Wu Fang Ward played in that game. He was a multi-sport athlete. I've talked about him before. If you go back and listen to some of my broadcasts, Wu Fang Ward was his name. Outstanding, great football player, baseball player, basketball player, and a track man. Okay, so anyway, we had that game, and this is interesting. In 1929, the Wilberforce team were members of the newly formed CAWW League, which included three white colleges. That was Cedarville, Antioch, and Wilmington colleges. Now, most of the black colleges played in leagues that only had other African American teams. So Wilberforce is really breaking down racial barriers as early as 1929. Now, how do I know all of this about Wilberforce? Well, first of all, I have this. This is one of my references here. This is the Wilberforce 1929 yearbook, and I'm looking at players, and there's the baseball information. If you look at these annuals, you know how they break down the sports and the all the other activities, and then of course they have their senior class, and see great pictures, and there's some great photographs. And I don't have the one that has Wu Fang Ward's senior year, but I'm looking for it. But anyway, this just gives you an idea, guys, of what's going on and how I research these topics to learn all this information. So in addition to traveling quite a bit, I do go out and find all kinds of research. I'm looking at a book right now. It has every graduate from Howard University. I'm looking at that book right now. It's sitting here. And my computer is actually sitting on it. So I can't pick it up because they'll move the camera. But guys, I want to tell you that. Now I also I do a segment in my broadcast where I do, as I close, sometimes coming and going. Now, a coming is a player that's being born on this date, and a going is somebody who passed away. So you saw I just got through talking about I.S. Lang, who passed away in 79. He was a going. And then I talked about Charles P. That was also going. And I'll give you, let me give you another going. November 27, 1975, Eddie Dwight, legendary Kansas City Monarchs outfielder, died in Kansas City, Kansas. Now, Dwight, he lived on North Tremont, which was a block over from me, and I knew his family very well. Not only did I know his children, who were older than me, and they grew up with my older brothers and sisters. However, I knew different cousins, and his sister lived on Tremont down at the bottom. This is all in Rattlebone Hollow. We all lived in Rattlebone Hollow, what they call the black section of Kansas City, Kansas, down by the Missouri River, guys, okay? And so I knew his two brothers, Boots and Butts. That's what my father called them. They're their nicknames. My father knew them very well. And so I know the whole family. And one of his sisters was married to a guy who lived to be like 115 years old. They used to have a little candy store, and I would go there and buy candy as a little kid. And it was on Tremont. So that's where their family lived. And when they came up from Georgia, they moved in the North End, which was the Rattlebone Hollow area. And so that is history. And yes, Eddie Dwight was a great player and someone that you need to look up. And his son, Eddie Dwight Jr., if you remember this, a couple years ago, they talked about the person who was the oldest astronaut or the oldest person to ever go up into outer space. And that was his son, Eddie Dwight Jr. And so I can't make this stuff up, guys. You just got to follow history. And this is history that I'm telling you that, believe me, they would love to see this go away. But I, like myself, refuse to let that happen. And hopefully you guys, by supporting me, will refuse to let it happen as well. Okay, so that's Eddie Dwight Sr. Remember, and you look up Eddie Dwight Jr. There's even more information on him. And they come from Rattlebone Hollow. Okay, and then let's see. Oh, here's an important one. November 27th, 1927. This is someone who passed away. First baseman for the Homestead Grays. Walter Buck Leonard. He died on this date in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Buck. I went to his home. Actually, I saw him on several occasions, but in 1983, sometime I get the year mixed up. It's not 82, it's 83. I took a tour, and I went to his home in Rocky Mount, and I was able to speak to Buck and spend some time with him in his home. And at that time, he was a member of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and it was really my honor to go there. And I was a young guy at that particular time, and I remember him grilling me, asking me, "What do you know about the Negro Leagues?" And it's kind of interesting. He grilled me a lot um, about what I knew, and I was able to convince him I knew a lot because I had studied for about 3 years, uh, just just reading books and at spending time at the library, going through newspapers and things like that. And so when he grilled me, I was up to the test. Now I have people calling me now who are trying to write newspaper articles. Some even trying to write books, and they know nothing about African American history. They don't know anything about these players, and they probably spent some time a week online or something like that, and they're ready to write something. Guys, don't do that. Don't bring that kind of shame to my people's history. We need people who are going to be dedicated to the task and not a bunch of fluff that continues on with the ignorance that's been going on for generations. All right. So we got a couple of people here. I'm gonna say something here. Remember, I'm gonna talk to you. We got somebody named Maximus 1715. Are you any chance? Are you Chance the rapper's granddad? And see, people like to do some crazy stuff. Now, I tell you what, but if you stay here long enough, you'll learn about some people's granddads who are outstanding baseball players. All right, okay. And then somebody says, tomorrow is my birthday. I guess that Bacon, Bacon 23. All right, happy birthday um, from Phil Dixon here. And yeah, happy birthday there. So, yeah, okay. So I'm almost finished now. Let's see. We might get one more. Let's see. I've gone through quite a bit. Okay. We're gonna finish up with this one. And November 27th, 1938. This is somebody who was born on this date, and his name Jose Tartable Guzman is born in Cienfuegos, Cuba. And he played for the Kansas City Athletics, the Boston Red Sox, and the Oakland Athletics during his baseball career. Interesting thing about him, I knew his son very well, Danny Tartable. And I used to be the assistant director of public relations for the Kansas City Royals. And Tartable played on the team when I was there. And I would schedule appointments for him and appearances for him. And one time he came to me and he said, "Hey, look, I'm going to set something up because I'm going to ask this girl to marry me." And he wanted to do it during the baseball season. So he wanted my assistance. So I ended up finding a park, and he got some company to come up with like a fireworks kind of sign that once you ignited it, it said, "Will you marry me?" and that kind of thing. So he went out to a place called Wyandotte County. I think it's Wyandotte County Lake where we set it up. And he did ask the young lady to marry him, and she said yes. And so somewhere in my collection, I have a wedding invitation from Danny Tartable to come to their wedding. And I wasn't able to make it there, but I kept the invitation. Beautiful, beautiful invitation. It was actually see-through. It was plastic see-through. I tell you what, I've never received another wedding invitation like that in my life. So I had the honor of keeping that, and it's Danny Tartable's invitation to Phil Dixon to come to his wedding. It was out in California. So anyway, guys, that kind of concludes it for me today in this Thanksgiving Day broadcast in 2025, November 27, 2025. I want to thank everybody for joining. Hopefully we learned something. If you like what I'm doing, guys, go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to build those subscribers up and keep this information coming. So I certainly appreciate you joining me and staying with me. And we will continue to spread this love everywhere we can. And so this is about time for me to sign off. I used to try to go about 20 minutes. I'm in 24 minutes at this point. Hey, go back and listen to some of my other broadcasts. I have all kinds of things. I'm talking about all-star teams, individual players. It just goes on and on and on. But I enjoy coming and having these conversations with you in this medium here called and to I guess Maximus 175. I hope you find Chance the Rapper's granddad, because it seems like you're more concerned with that than you are about baseball. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. I think I'm going to go watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. All right, thank you, guys, and have a nice uh, Thanksgiving. And just remember, guys, be thankful for all that God's giving you, and encourage people, and let's make life worth living. All right, you have a nice day.